Welcome into K-State Online. I am Mason Voth. That is Derek Young. We're coming to you a little early, day early, for the preview this week. Why? Just because free time for DUI. Crank it out now. Get everybody looking ahead to the game. Maybe makes it easier to flush talking about Baylor even longer and belaboring what went on there.
Oh, yeah.
Although you were in attendance at McLean Stadium, so you got it to witness it firsthand. I mean, when they were up 14 with 9 minutes left or whatever it was, did you think they had it in the bag? Like, do you think there was a real chance they'd lose?
I thought there was a better chance that Kansas State won that game by 21 than them losing, to be quite honest. Though that being up by like 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter is a Chris Kleiman wheelhouse special, right? Like, he knows how to just sit on that ball and make life hell for the opponent in that situation. So no, I didn't think there was a way that they were losing. They also were up 14 with the ball in the fourth quarter. I mean, that's just, one of those things. And Avery Johnson played a terrific game for the most part, but I'll be honest, in the fourth quarter, he didn't play his best ball, and that's typically when you need to play your best ball. He had the pick six in the fourth quarter, which was an unmistakable or an unforgivable mistake. And then everyone hates it when they're up 14 and they have the ball, and those plays didn't work, obviously, and you had to punt in that situation. I believe is that what happened? They ended up punting there when they had the ball up 14.
So they were up.
That was the one where Avery just threw it away on third down.
Yeah, they had to punt, and then Baylor goes and scores on like 3 or 4 plays.
Yeah.
And then
that 3rd and 2, I think, where he just kind of threw it away last. Will Swanson's wide open. He missed him. So
yeah, it was. They ended up punting. It was Simon McClellan's best punt of the day. He boomed it. And gave him some room to work, but Baylor went 82 yards in 3 plays. And then
Michael Trick mossed both Wesley Fair and somebody else.
And then on that, the drive that ultimately ends with the pick six, K-State had converted 3 third downs already. So you felt like they were cruising. It's like, wow, they're going to close this thing out right here. And then, like you said, the unforgivable mistake happens.
Yeah, and on some of those conversions too were just terrific plays again by Avery Johnson. It was kind of the epitome of a season where it's just like feast or famine almost, because he was cooking on that drive up until that point. So maybe that's why Matt Wells stuck with the pass, because Avery was cooking it. But man, that was probably once you got to their side of the field, a time to maybe decelerate a little bit. If we're talking about game flow there, and then on the drive where he had 1st and goal at the 2, and obviously only got 3. That's been significantly gone over by people like us in the media, like repeatedly since that game. Like on 2nd down, they have a wide open touchdown to Garrett Oakley. Now, I'm not sure if Avery Johnson even starts to look that way at any point, because he looked like he was looking right the entire way, maybe because he felt the pressure and knew the pressure was going to come. But really, that came down to, I don't know if Avery ends up getting to Oakley, who was wide open for that throwback touchdown on the backside, but the play had no chance because, they missed the blitz off the left side.
Yeah, and I mean, you talk about the slowing things down. There were 4.5 minutes left in the game when the pick six occurred, and K-State was at the Baylor 42. So you would have thought that, you've just, by the skin of your teeth, kept this drive alive multiple times. Why now are you trying to get aggressive? Because this goes back to the quote that Matt Wells had when he first got here, and it was, we want to throw to score and run to win. You were in a situation right there where you didn't need to score, you needed to win. And there's a difference, because you could come away with 3 points there, and so you're scoring by that way, but that would have helped you win, because then at that stage you go up by 9. It's a 2-possession game. Baylor's going to need the ball twice. Instead, you gave the added risk of something like that happening, and that's where just given how the rest of the drive played out, because these are the plays leading up to the pick six. 1st and 10 at the 17, 4-yard run. 2nd and 6, incompletion. They ran it on 3rd and 6. Avery ran for a 1st down.
It was a great recognition by him. Yep.
And then negative 1-yard run on the 2nd 1st down of the drive. They threw it again on 2nd and 11. And then they had to throw it on third down. They went for 17 on that play. And
Tibbs.
then that was Joe Jackson. Tibbs is the next one that
Oh,
we'll
it
get
was Joe
into.
Jackson, like on an angle route. He hit him perfectly in stride. Yep.
Yeah. They went first down, incomplete pass, then a 1-yard run, and then the 11-yard completion to Jerron Tibbs. So like it, in hindsight, looking back at the play-by-play, you go, the whole drive was called kind of peculiarly, if you will.
Yes, but I've also if I'm going to play devil's advocate here and defend the call, even on the play that got a pick six, you don't want Avery throwing that particular ball. But like, why? Maybe they just chose throw. Yes, I agree. I even brought it up first, right? That was time to maybe decelerate. You're already almost in field goal range, and a field goal makes a huge difference there, like you alluded to. But you just went through that drive chart, that drive, like they weren't running the ball.
Yeah.
Like, what are the 3 carries for a yard other than the Avery scramble? Yeah.
Yeah. No, I just the whole thing, and then the play itself where the pick is thrown. There are many things that have been discussed, can be discussed on what happened there.
That was the perfect time to do that reverse spin that quarterbacks do too, with that backside blitz that you just dodge them, and then you probably have the entire left side at your disposal. That would have been the perfect time for it. But this sounds silly because of how many yards you could lose on it. But that's even a play like Avery panics and just throws that ball before Tibbs is even looking, right?
Well,
because he even admitted post game, like the time I threw that on the route that Tibbs is running, he's not going to be looking back at that point. So he even knew that the route he threw, that his receiver wasn't going to be looking. So it's like, I know it kind of goes against conventional wisdom, but taking a sack there is probably the best option.
Yeah, clock's either running or Baylor uses
or at
one of their
least
timeouts,
or at least try to evade the sack. Don't just throw a prayer.
Yeah, and as crappy as it would be, even if you still had to end up settling for a punt on that drive, you're doing it with more time bled off the clock. You would hope that you could get them back there a decent amount. The last thing I'll ask you from this game is that Chris Kleiman admitted on Monday that they weren't even in Luis Rodriguez's range for the field goal attempt that ultimately got blocked that decided the game.
That goes back to the question I asked post game. Like, you remember when they spiked it and then took a timeout without running a play in between? Like, that was really, really weird. I asked him post game, I was like, do you feel like you should have just run a play before the timeout, which is what I would have done? And he keeps going back to like, and I know it was asked again in Monday, but he keeps going back to like not having enough time to basically like throw a pass. I'm like, I don't care about, you can run the ball. I don't care if you can run the ball and get 2 or 3 extra, run the ball up the gut. Like, to be honest, Baylor, even when K-State spiked it, Baylor wasn't even lined up. You could have ran it then and got like 4 yards on a QB sneak.
Yeah, it is kind of strange. And here's, to the point here, on this thing, on the a few plays prior, the play that ended up drawing a pass interference penalty, the ball was snapped with 21 seconds on the clock. K-State made the pass, the play completed in 4 seconds. And so the penalty occurred at the K-State 41, which was about, I don't know, roughly around Isaac Koch was like 10 yards off the line of scrimmage or something. But either way, like, you got to pass out in 4 seconds there. When you had the 6 seconds, there are things you could do to maybe try to move this thing up just a little bit. But I do go back to, like, how trusting is the staff of Avery Johnson's clock management, because we've seen it fail before, and his awareness at times has lacked in these games.
I think that's why they did it. They didn't trust the internal clock of Avery Johnson, which even in that game was lacking at times. Like, I will support and back Avery Johnson the last few games. I think he's been a lot better than some people give him credit, but internalizing clock management is not his thing, never has been at any point in his career, even this year. So I get that, but like, and I understand, like, what if we call a run and it's wide open and they don't get down in time? I don't know. Like, I feel like I can ask someone, hey, we're giving you the ball here on a run play. 2 or 3 seconds, get the heck down. Like, that doesn't seem complicated to me. And if we're running in between the tackles, like, that feels like an easy, like, 2 or 3 second call a timeout. Like you can call a timeout from the sideline. Like, you got your guy gets tackled right away, but those 3-4 yards seem very important to me.
Yeah, I don't know. I just it comes across sounding weird when Chris Kleiman admits that, oh well, we knew that it wasn't really in his range. The wind had picked up; it was already pushing it. But then I get why they still sent him out there, because you do feel like in that chance, Luis Rodriguez has been a stud. You probably have a better chance of him getting one past what his suspected yardage is versus converting some 50-yard
There,
touchdown.
there's also some kind of conflict. There's not like internal conflict within the. Well, there might be. I don't know, within the program. Like, I'm not saying it is, but like a conflict in my head of like things we hear and things we see. Right? He keeps saying Chris Kleiman keeps saying Avery Johnson's playing plenty good to win, and we have to be better around him. I don't really disagree with that, but in that situation, if you really feel that way, like, give him an opportunity to get a couple more yards. Then in was like, if you really feel that way. And also, if you really feel that way, don't when you get asked about like the throwing short of the sticks. And for the people out there that keep saying, why don't you guys ask the tough questions about throwing short of the sticks? That's probably been the most asked question of any press conference this year. I feel like,
I think it's been asked after the last 3 games.
Yeah, and you watch these and listen to these because you got to as well, even if you're not present for them, and you can attest. I bet that's been asked in some way, shape, or form the last 6 or 7 press conferences.
Yeah, I mean, it was asked on Monday.
During the week, after the
Yeah.
game, both. And it bothered me a little bit. And I know he at some point said too, like that Matt Wells has to get into a better call, or we're too close to the sideline at times, or he has to have a better call on third down, like when it's 3rd and goal at the 4. I know he said those things, but it's still kind of just, it gnawed at me a little bit when it seemed like he pointed the finger a little bit at Avery Johnson of not being accurate on some of those third down short end of the sticks. Because he's right. Sometimes you have to throw short of the sticks on third down and allow your guys to make plays based on the way that someone is defending you, because they know you have to get to the sticks too. I get that. And earlier in the season, I think he's absolutely correct that Avery Johnson was throwing to the wrong shoulder and some of those plays short of the sticks. And if you threw to the right shoulder and let them make some and let them run after the catch, they're easy first downs. He's absolutely right. I think that was happening in the first 2 to 3 games. The last 2 or 3, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And the one that really bothers me, I think the most egregious one, and Kurtz and I almost commiserated on this one because it blew our mind, is in the drive that resulted in the blocked field goal, of course, that you wanted to win the game with, that you didn't. Like, the first play of that drive, they have 4 routes and 3 of them are short of the sticks, and they throw to Jace Brown on an 8-yard hitch. There's 29 seconds left. You have 1 timeout, and you're throwing short of the sticks the first freaking play. You're lucky Jace Brown dropped the ball.
Yeah, the vibes were not good on that final drive. They were kind of fortunate that they got the pass interference penalty thrown.
Good call. Good call.
So yeah, I'm with you on that one. I also think about, like, some of it is probably on Avery where he's throwing it or how he's getting the throw
early in the season
across. Yeah. But then you also wonder, like, because we're not all stupid. Like, we understand you can't just, this is not a video game. You can't just have all 4 or 5 receiving options just streaking down the field. Like, no, you need to give some options. And yeah, you're going to have, K-State's been really good at it at times. Garrett Oakley's already had a handful of plays this year where it's, I don't know the down and distance, but they dump it off to him for 3 yards and then he runs and picks up another 17 or something. So, like, it makes sense. You can do it, but it feels like in those critical situations, 1, K-State is going to it too often, and 2, the position that those guys are putting themselves in, whether it's where they've been designated to be on that play by Matt Wells in the offense or where they themselves are ending up at, puts you in a really, like, tough spot. Like, I think about the throw that on the final drive against Arizona that Avery tried making to Jace. Like they were on the short side of the field and he threw it like Jace is basically standing out of bounds, like where he's trying to
Yep.
catch. And it's like that's just such a low percentage throw right there. Like, why is that the one that you're doing? Or yeah,
Right.
so many of the ones where like it's not just throwing short of the sticks to the tight ends. It's these guys are catching the ball for like
Behind the line of
negative
scrimmage.
yards at the line of scrimmage or behind it. It's like that doesn't really add up. And then so many times where it does feel like they're getting too far out, where it's like I don't know that a body like that's going to be able to have the room to turn it and get up. So this brings in the bigger picture here is that we just hear so many different things about what are causing these problems where it just leads to more questioning and a hard time understanding
So
what like I think they're just really in their head about what's going on out here, and it bleeds into the players then, and I think everybody gets complacent, and
no,
complacency is how you end up 5-10 in your
I don't
last
even know.
15 one-score games.
I don't know if it's caused complacency. I think it's causing confusion. That's what, and because to be honest, some of their answers that they give like consistently, because like it's like we're asking the questions, so we're trying to put 2 and 2 together, right, and see if it equals 4. It isn't equaling 4. It's like, I mean, I'm not saying that they're fracked out lying, but it's just like your logic is just defying logic.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a mind-boggling time right now for K-State. We'll
Because
see.
like they said, we had something dialed up for Garrett Oakley on that second down, which he did. He got open right at the goal line when you're right after the big Jace Brown play where he had his helmet torn off. You had first and goal at the 2, so you end up second goal at the 4 because you lost 2 yards on the first run, and that was dialed up for Garrett Oakley. But like to me, and I get it was a clear out like in a throwback, and you didn't block the pressure coming off the left edge totally. But like, wouldn't if that was what you dialed up, wouldn't like Avery look that way once?
You would think, and that's the thing too. It's like we've heard so many of these different things about like what Avery's been directed to do now. I think in some ways as an effort to clean things up or make him more efficient and effective at throwing the ball, but then you wonder if it's led to other problems elsewhere, like locking in on one specific receiver and trying to force it to the first read as opposed to like even if there's a 50% chance you can complete it to the first read, like maybe you should still look elsewhere. Whereas like, has he been told, nah, option 1 is even when it's a little tight is better than an open option 2. We want to try to hit that. Like there's a lot of tunnel vision with this offense, I think.
Paralysis by analysis is a thing. I think that could be happening here. I mean, what was his Coach Kleiman, and I didn't go to it on Monday, you did, but like his exact quote I think was like, we're not going to run Avery Johnson 15 times a game because basically preservation, right? And I get it. He's probably talking 15 design runs, and
he was.
Yeah, and he's right that they should not do that. But at the same time, like that's not exactly the statement I want to hear when we're 2-4. What I want to hear when we're 2-4 is like, we'll run them as many times as we need to win the game.
Yeah, and that feels like that's not like they're so adamant on it right now, and I think it's also just mincing words a little bit because yeah, he's taking it like Avery answered it like this when I asked about it after the Arizona game and running, and he was like, "You guys, may not believe how many like called runs that we have, but then we check out of them or there's the option there or whatever else." And it's like, well, that's not really the question or what anybody cares about. Like the design runs are great when they happen because there are times where it's necessary and it's called for, but like the type of runner that Avery Johnson is and can be, it's about taking off when you have options to throw to, but you're like, not there. Oh, hey, look, there's a free 7 yards right there or more, and take off. Like that's and I think they're missing the point on that.
I do too. Whether that's Avery at this point or even the coaching staff.
We hear it so much from the coaches, and again, Chris Kleiman brought about like keeping him healthy. Maybe it's Avery had some of this in him, But I'm starting to take more of the side that I think this fear has been coached into him.
I'm along those lines. And here's something. There was a couple runs, and he's running the ball more. He had over 70 yards rushing, right, against both Baylor and UCF. So this is not even a contention that we were having. We think he ran the right amount of times, probably, both you and I, against Baylor and UCF. And it makes you think, like, where the heck was it earlier, right? That's where we're at. And hopefully that he keeps moving forward. But I don't want to hear at a press conference, like, we're not going to run, because then that gets in Avery's head again. He's like, well, I'm at 12 right now, right? I don't want to hear that stuff. Like, avoid some of those statements that could get into someone's head. But I also think now that he is running more, we've seen him in the open field a bit more, right? Against Baylor and UCF. And Baylor, he took off midfield and got that touchdown, finally ran 23 miles per hour, right? Like, that was the beauty. But there have also been other times in both of those games, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, because you watched Avery enough in high school, just like I did at Mays High School when he is running. And I get that these are high school kids that he's running on rather than Big 12 defenders. But there were times where he's in the open field against Baylor and UCF one-on-one, and I don't know if he's been in his head so much. Like in high school, like he would have made that guy look silly. And I get that these are Big 12 defenders, but even in year one, like I go back to that Texas Tech game on the road in Lubbock, he made defenders look silly. And then he got one-on-one with guys against UCF and Baylor the last 2 weeks, and there were still big plays. So I'm not even complaining too much, but it's like, man, he didn't know how to get around them or evade them or anything. He just kind of went down and got tackled.
Yeah, it's weird because it, like, the upping of the level, I don't think should have any role to play in it, because this
And
is
even if
like,
it did, year one erases that as a
yeah.
possible thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I just, like, that's one of those things where I go, like, these guys are built for this level. So, like, you're ready for the next test. Everything you do in life prepares you for the next thing. So it's like, people make a big deal about, like, first day of college, how was it? Like, what's it been like? It's like, it's just going to school. You know why? Because I had 13 years of school before this, and high school's a step below it. So it wasn't that weird of a transition. And, like, the transition here I don't think has been, but the one thing that has changed is that he's certainly not opening himself up to as many hits where he's getting rocked. And it feels like very rarely is he running at 100%. Like,
He never lets it
and by the time he gets
100%
into the
live.
open field, it's like his eyes are anywhere but straight. It's like, kind of paying attention to what's coming around you, and, like, slowing down and just bracing for impact at all times. And that's where I think that's probably been one of those things where they were probably so concerned about his running ability setting him up for injury that now it's, the last couple of years, that's been the number one focus when he runs is don't get hurt, don't get hurt, don't get hurt. Because I don't think he's the kind of guy, and I don't think a lot of these guys are, that go out there and every snap they take on the football field, they're worried about getting hurt. If that's the mindset you have playing Division I football, really football of any level, and you're good at it, like, then you probably shouldn't be playing, because you can't play scared. It'd be like guys stepping in the batter's box in Major League Baseball and being scared of a 99-mile-an-hour fastball. It's like, well, this is what you do. Like, you have to go up there and be ready to do it. Or I doubt every pitcher takes the mound. They know that they could get a comebacker right at the side of their head, but I don't think they go up there thinking about it 24/7. And something's happened to where he's thinking about that big hit hurting him all the time. It just based on the way that he runs and the way that answers are given from the coaching staff and Johnson himself.
Yeah, and this is kind of spiraled into obviously a long discussion, but I want to also make it clear, like, we're not even like criticizing how Avery's. I think one thing Chris Clemens right about is Avery Johnson has played well enough to win, and it's just the disappointment that we felt when he signed, and especially after year one and seeing him run on Big 12 teams in year one, right? When he's a true freshman, the way that he ran, that we were going to have an electrifying player that was absolutely a freaking unadulterated weapon with both his arm and legs. And to be honest, I'm not sure teams fear his legs that much.
No, I don't think so. So I don't know. It's kind of a fascinating.
And we say that he's ran for 70 plus last 2 weeks. Just keep that up.
Yeah, I think the way he's done it the last 2 weeks has been
It's
exactly
still,
what you want.
it's still, I don't think that a complete maximization of what he can do, because he's still, I think the only time we really saw him let it 100% rip was that run right down the middle for a touchdown.
Yeah, and
in Waco.
I think to me, the way that his running right now, you're getting more of the okay. He sees when he should scramble. There are still a few times over the course of the last couple of games where I go, probably a little bit more there that you could have gone with, but like nothing overwhelmingly alarming. I
No,
think he is playing fine. It's just this is where, to kind of what you were saying, is
he just threw for
you
over
thought that
300 yards.
you thought you were getting more than just a player that, when he plays good, he's giving the team a chance to win. You thought you were getting a player that when he plays his version of good, he's going to guarantee that the team wins. And unfortunately,
And
no matter the reason for it, he's not that type of player right now. And the concern is that he's never going to be that player that when he hits his level of good, his highest peak, he's not going to be able to just put you on the back and carry you. And that's why, coaching decisions and other breakdowns elsewhere end up costing you games like K-State's lost this year.
maybe unfair to him, but we thought like you're getting a Lamar Jackson type player if he reaches his potential. And I still think that's probably what it is. We saw him rush for 5 touchdowns against Texas Tech in Lubbock on the road his true freshman season. And now we just saw him throw for over 300 yards in Waco. Why can't those two things be married with one another?
Yeah, well, K-State's probably hoping that they get it figured out, but the problems extend beyond just the minuscule things with Avery Johnson that turn good games into great games. They obviously have other stuff going on, like TCU coming to town this weekend. K-State only 1.5 point underdog this week.
Started at 2.5, so yeah, it hasn't moved much.
Chris Kleiman's been good against TCU in his career, 5-1. The only loss he ended up losing because Jake Rubley had to play back-to-back series that ended with a failed quarterback sneak and an interception.
That was a stupid game at what do they call it? The Carter.
Yeah. Old Amon G. So there's some good history there for K-State. TCU has played okay, but they've been a team that kind of throughout the season has played relative to the competition that they're facing. You look at what they did last week against Colorado. Yeah, they ended up winning by 14. It really wasn't a 14-point game. It was closer than that. They lost a tight one to Arizona State. They handled SMU. They probably haven't looked at their best since that SMU game or even before that. And I think that you're getting a team that you can get, and maybe for some odd reason, like this is where kind of similar to basketball last year. K-State has put themselves in a spot where I don't think they're a bad team anymore. I think that they are somewhat in the vicinity of being the team that we thought they could be before the year. The issue is that they put themselves behind a major 8 ball that I just don't know that you're going to be able to come back from. Especially it hurts even more because you started the year playing a conference team, and then you already have another conference loss in there. So like, there's going to be a lot of people going, what's the point of this season? And I can't say that I fault that logic, but I think K-State is playing good enough to beat anybody left on their schedule. It's just, are they going to be able to do the little things to finish it off?
I probably disagree with some of that a little bit, and it's not to like get into a complete fight with it. One, you said maybe you can't come back from. Well, I mean, you're 2-4. You're probably not coming. Like, you can win 6 straight, and it doesn't mean a thing.
Yeah, exactly. No, I agree. It makes things feel maybe a little bit better and not as disastrous. But like, and we've known since the Arizona game, that really since the Army game, that this team completely screwed up what this season was supposed to be. So
Yeah.
no matter what they do, they're not going to be able to
There's
meet
no
expectations. They failed this year. There's no
yeah.
question about that.
Yeah, there's no coming back to what the initial expectations were. I guess that's what I would say. So yeah, you're on the same page with me there. And I would, because like, man, if it, and even if you win 6 straight, I guess you do finish 7-2 and probably put yourself in a weird ass tiebreaker to maybe get to Arlington. But I'm not even going to entertain the thought of that right now. That's pretty silly.
Probably need to get ready to go to Salt Lake City with no more losses before that even gets entertained.
Yeah, for sure. And then and
Well, really, if you get through the Texas Tech game, because then it's
yeah,
Oklahoma State, so it's like
you're saying, and that's what I was going to get to too. You're saying they're playing well enough to beat anyone left on the schedule. I don't even know if I agree with that. Like I think they're playing well enough to beat like the average to solid teams on the schedule, maybe not the really good ones. So like I don't think they're playing good enough to beat Utah or Texas Tech right now. I don't think that we can go that far. Are you playing good enough to beat TCU, Oklahoma State, Colorado, and
Kansas?
Yeah, I think but I think it's because you're playing better than Colorado and Oklahoma State. You're the same as TCU, Baylor, Kansas, and a horde of other Big 12 teams that are all in that middle of the road tier. That's probably a rung below Arizona State, Iowa State, and TCU, and like 3 rungs below Texas Tech. Like that's kind of how I see it. And yeah, maybe I should include BYU and Cincinnati. You're a rung below. I kind of want to see Cincinnati beat someone good before we get to that point. I don't know that. I think they're probably capitalizing on playing some beating teams just like them or below them. And BYU's had the easiest schedule in America for the second year in a row. Like I don't know. Maybe you have to. I don't know what BYU did to get that kind of omen 2 years in a row, but they've got it. Like I don't think I would obviously if I'm doing power rankings, I'm going to have Kansas State below BYU and Cincinnati, but BYU and Cincinnati is probably on the same tier. It's probably BYU, Cincinnati, Kansas State, TCU, Baylor, Houston. You're like, is there really maybe Arizona? I think they're better than Arizona. I mean, is there any differentiating between those teams? I don't think so. Like the middle of the pack is larger than the top pack and the bottom pack. And I think Kansas State's in that middle of the pack. But if they continue to lose 1-score games, then I'm not going to sit here and defend them either. So like they'll beat teams that they should, like UCF, although Arizona and Army is a argument against what I'm saying. But that was also the first version of Kansas State, which if they revert back to that, they'll lose a bunch of games this year. But if they act like they give a damn, then they would have beat UCF and Army. We wouldn't be in this situation too. Yeah. So whatever. I'm talking in circles, but I don't think Kansas State's good. I don't think Kansas State's bad. I think they're in the middle of the road with a lot of other Big 12 teams where however the game bounces, the ball bounces, or which coaching staff makes the biggest mistake. Kansas State's did last week. That'll decide who wins and who loses.
Yeah, they're a middle of the road team right now that played like a really bad team the first 4 games of the season, and it set them behind to where like
they would have beat.
It's really hard to do anything to survive right now. Like,
and I don't care. Apparently, Arizona fans are just in an uproar because they I'm sure they give you crap. I think they already did give you crap for sure.
Yeah, they did not
they gave the 3 Mile podcast crap too because we talked the same kind of disdain for them. But like that game gets played today. Kansas State probably wins by 2 touchdowns. So I don't.
Yeah. This version of K-State's better than Arizona. And Arizona hasn't changed who they are. K-State does look like they've changed quite a bit from what they are. But
it wouldn't, and I know that game's in Tucson this weekend, but it wouldn't surprise me BYU beats Arizona by multiple scores.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll talk a little bit more.
And I know this is a tangent, but that goes back to like BYU schedule. Like, what the heck did they have to do? They played Portland State, terrible. Stanford, terrible. East Carolina, people thought was good because they blew out Coastal Carolina. They find out Coastal Carolina is terrible. Colorado, terrible is probably a little bit hyperbole, but they're going to lose a lot of
good.
games.
Yeah, they'll be a below 500 team probably.
they're going to go up by 7 or 10 in every game and still find a way to lose. That's what Colorado does. Colorado is 2-4, so they played 6 games and they've led in 5 of them at halftime. It's like it's a weird dynamic with Colorado. And then West Virginia. So you're sitting there 5-0, and you played Portland State, Stanford, East Carolina, Colorado, and West Virginia. Like, what did you have to do to get that? And now your next game is against Arizona. This weekend, your first 6 games are teams that are probably not going to make a bowl.
Yeah.
Like, how'd you get that? And then, of course, you got Utah, Iowa State, Texas Tech, TCU, Cincinnati right after it. So you're going to come back down to earth maybe, but then you finish with UCF. But man, you 6-0 just staring at your face. Just don't play like K-State, basically. That's good. Like, even K-State would go 4-2 or 5-1 against that schedule, I think.
That's hard for me to say because I think Army's terrible. I think Arizona's terrible. So it depends. This version of K-State, yes. The one that we saw the first 4 games, no, probably.
Arizona probably beats West Virginia.
They beat Stanford. They beat Arizona beats all those teams except for Colorado, maybe.
Or Colorado might lose late, though. That's what they do.
Yeah. Arizona could easily be 5-0 with the BYU record right now.
Yep.
No doubt about it. All right, we'll take a pause from that. We'll get into best bets and go through that. Last week, not great for me because I believed in some teams that I thought there's no way that they would lose. But they did.
I gave you Iowa State.
Yeah, that was kind of dirty by you because the KU one was the one that I really liked, but I was like, no, I'm not going to double up again. That feels like cheating. So I'll just take Iowa State still, even though their whole team's in the infirmary. They still almost found a way to pull it out there at the end. But Penn State was the atrocious one. Not only did they not cover the 24 points, they lost.
Their ass kicked twice. They were getting their ass kicked for a little.
Yeah, I don't get it. But hey, Clemson dominated North Carolina. What do you know? So DY went 2-1 last week. Pretty good. He's increased his lead. He's up 4 games on me now. Apparently, I didn't save the file right last week, so I can't just pop up the pretty red and green to tell you what happened. But
what I have besides KU?
Can't even remember. I had to go back and look yesterday to just confirm and get a look at it. But yeah, you did go 2-1 though. Did not get that wrong. I don't think.
I had the Hawks, but I don't. Yeah, I'd have to.
Who else you had?
Oh, did I have A&M against Mississippi State?
Yes, you did.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah, and I might have had. And then I missed the other one, so I don't know what that would have been.
Yeah, I don't know who the other one was from last week. I don't know. Either way, there you go. That's
you got the Red River over. Everyone's pounding the under, and you're swerving.
Yeah, I am because when teams score a touchdown, when both teams score a touchdown in this game, they go and score a lot of points. So as long as one team doesn't get shut out or only makes a field goal, they're going to be A-okay here. I mean, it's not a high bar to cross for these teams. No. I get, Texas's defense and who's going to play quarterback for OU.
Oklahoma's defense is even better.
There's no way they're going to go through this game and you're going to get like a final score of 20-17. They score a lot of points. Something about the Cotton Bowl, they just light the scoreboard on fire.
That's true. And in your defense, Oklahoma's defense has got some absurd numbers this year, but that's because they gave up 6 points in the 3 games against Kent State, Illinois State, and Temple. So
the people are talking, was Kent State the week before Red River a bad idea? I don't know, maybe.
State shut out Kent State, give up 3 to Temple, 3 to Illinois State, and then the other 2 offenses they played that you would anticipate maybe being good are not really good in Michigan and Auburn.
Yeah. So aside from last year when Oklahoma didn't have, real quarterback play, and the total of the game was 37, the previous matchups, 64, 49, 103, 98, 61. I'm doing math in my head on the fly. 66, 93, 53, 85. And then you have to go all the way back to 2015 for the last time that there was both teams scoring a touchdown in this game did not go over 43.5 points. It was 24-17 that Texas won it. So this is one of those games where it feels like there's always points around and weird stuff's happen. You're probably going to get like a defensive score. I don't know if these teams come out tight or they're just so amped up they make extra plays. But I am swerving a little bit here where people are going the other way, and then I'm taking the over in K-State TCU. I don't believe too much in either of these teams' defenses, and I think both offenses are playing well enough right now.
I also like the thought of over here because I don't think either team, like Kansas State, has started to figure out the running game a little bit, but not great. You don't even know what's going on with Dylan Edwards, and then TCU doesn't even like attempt to even put the run game into existence. Really, like like Sonny Dice is like, what's a running game? So like if the ball's in the air a lot, you get a chance to.
Yeah, I think that's where I go. And then Texas A&M -7.5 at home against Florida. I know, big win for Florida last week. They're trying to get the little bounce back in there. Kyle Field ready to shut that down. A little STSD, shut that shit down.
I'm an Aggie. I've had Texas A&M, I think 3 out of the last 4
You've
weeks.
had them a lot.
And they haven't let me down, but I'm one of the biggest Texas A&M backers. I was going into this year. I said they have a chance to win the playoff, maybe an SEC championship, dark horse. This game scares me a little bit for A&M.
I'm not scared of Florida. More like Frauda. You had Louisville last week -6.5. That was your other one.
Oh yeah, wait, they covered, didn't they? Didn't they win by 7? No, they lost to Virginia. Yeah.
I was going to say, you had me really confused. I was like, I think they lost, or at least it was in a position late where I knew they couldn't cover.
Yeah, because I was trying to fade Virginia after their huge win over Florida State. Virginia beats Louisville in overtime. That shook me.
Should stop doubting Chandler Morris.
Yeah, Virginia's for real apparently. And then my wins were A&M and KU, right? Yeah.
Yeah. What a weird quarterback room for Virginia that K-State fans would know the names of. You know the 2 quarterbacks that have thrown for 100 yards this year for him? Chandler Morris, and you know who the other one was? He had to play against William and Mary.
Oh, they had to play both William and Mary. I don't know.
It's Daniel Kalen, the former prospect out of Nebraska. Interesting enough. All right.
Omaha kid.
Explain yourself.
Sparty, I'm bringing it back. Hey, UCLA, I love the new Heisel family, but the party's over in Pasadena. Like
Props.
this is the perfect time of, you probably agree even, like this is the perfect time to bet Michigan State. UCLA has to go
actually,
you don't like it?
I would not touch this game, but if I had to pick a side, I'd go the other way, and I'd say this is the right time to buy in on UCLA.
I think they're as bad as what they had shown, and that was like a 1-game blip on the radar. Now you know what's on film. Michigan State is an okay team, not a great team, but an okay team. UCLA has to fly across the country to East Lansing. Every coach is complaining about travel this year, so give me the Spartans. BYU, hey, we've already documented this. I hate Arizona, so go Cougs. I actually, it worries me that the line's only 2.5 because I thought it would be more, to be quite honest. Because
tough place to play.
Yes, I think there's a chance BYU wins by 10+. We'll see, and I think if given the opportunity, Dan Lanning is going to put the hammer down on Indiana, and I think the opportunity might be there.
Yeah, I would agree with that. One of the other things that I considered, I considered Oregon over 31.5 in this game. I just,
but the over for both teams is probably live. Just the over in general, I think. But.
Yeah, because I think that's sitting right around like 54, somewhere in that range.
I think if if Oregon wins, I think Dan Lanning's going to try to make a statement and blow the crap out of them. Yeah. And if Indiana wins, I think it has to be a high-scoring game anyway.
Yeah, I would imagine so. And come on, like Indiana on the road.
And they're flying across the country too. Yeah.
Against a good team. I mean, they're just going to roll over and die.
I think this is and Dan Lanning is, I think, a little bit online too. And that's not even like a criticism.
I think he's a lot of bit online. The difference is that he's like built to handle it, unlike a lot of coaches.
Yeah. But like he's hearing everybody debate who should be number one between Ohio State and Miami, and he's like, I won. Now maybe it doesn't look as good because Penn State went and lost to UCLA the next week, but that's different Penn State team, obviously. So I don't think it's fair to judge Oregon's win the prior week because of it. But he went and won at Happy Valley, like in overtime when the odds were against them. I think there's probably some level of disrespect felt by Oregon this week when everyone's debating who's better between Ohio, who should be number one between Ohio State and Miami, because I think there is a case for Oregon.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Just in case you're curious here, Dan Lanning has not lost a regular season football game since October 14th of 2023.
Put them in your parlays, your money line parlays.
And during that stretch, they have not had a game decided by less than a touchdown, all but twice. Ohio State last year
when Will Howard slid.
Yeah. Actually 3 times, and the teams were Boise State last year, week 2,
Ashton Jersey,
Ohio State, and then
Will Howard slide.
Oddly enough, they only beat Wisconsin 16-13 last year in Madison.
Yeah, that's on the road. It's a little bit different, but that is kind of a bizarre outcome. So you had Ashton Jersey and the Will Howard slide at home, right?
Yeah. Yep. So there you go. And then this year they had the double overtime win over Penn State, but very rarely are they playing in touchdown type of games. So your -7 here feels safe.
Dan Lanning from Kansas City, Park Hill High School, I believe.
Well, there you go. Park him in your parlay, folks. All right, there you go. There's the best bets for the week. We now go back to the main event, K-State TCU, 2:30 on Saturday from Bill Snyder Family Stadium. This is where we love to paint the pictures for you before the game even happens. Let's start with because this is a team now that's good and bad at times. We need the dream and the nightmare scenario. So let's see here. I'm gonna decide in my head. Let's start with the nightmare scenario for K-State. What's the nightmare look like against TCU?
We got to get this segment sponsored and then play like the Meek Mill Dreams and Nightmares song.
I'll get in touch with a mattress company.
Yeah, and get the Meek Mill song on the overlay. Nightmare would be that this team probably folds it up after the collapse in Waco. We kind of close up shop, right? You don't have Dylan Edwards really. It's kind of like last week where you don't know how much you're going to get, and the one that you get's not really that effective. The offensive line loses the battle, and Jerron Bradley's not totally back. Avery Johnson's forcing the ball, so you just kind of get this discombobulated offensive effort that you probably have to score 30 to beat TCU, and you just don't have a good enough cohesiveness or a plan to kind of maneuver around the continuous moving parts, to which I'm going to write about this week at some point. Getting almost there. Obviously I got some things ahead of it still, but like there is a defensive Matt Wells, and it's that he hasn't consistently had the same lineup every week, not even close. And he's had games where he game planned all week and then had 2 or 3 main contributors bow out by like snap 10. And that's tough to maneuver. And there's a lot of moving parts, whether it be on his offensive line. The guys are in and out because they can't find answers, or 2, guys are banged up, whether it be Jamie Nelson, Terrence Enos, all the things. And then the Dylan Edwards thing, where he makes Kansas State a lot better, but he's barely been available. The only time he's been full go was UCF, which looked great. We just assumed that since nothing happened during that game, we would get that for Baylor as well. We didn't. JB Bradley's now missed a half of the Army game, the entire Arizona game, the entire UCF game, and all but 2 snaps of the Baylor game. Jace Brown played 2 snaps and then couldn't play the rest of the UCF game, I think. there is a lot of things that I look, I've been in the line with everybody else of criticizing Matt Wells as a play caller. So I'm not sitting here trying to take all the bullets for him, but he's been dealt a pretty rough hand as well.
Yeah, it hasn't been easy. It hasn't been fair at times the way it goes. Let me ask you this real quick because we kind of had some discussion about this earlier in the week. Is it weird that Jerron Bradley only played 2 plays on Saturday, and one of them that he was in on was the play late that resulted in the pick 6?
The timing of second snap is certainly weird. I think he went from a big cast to a smaller cast, so I don't think they were certain that he could catch and all these things. Like, and it's also weird, like on that third down play that we criticized, right at the goal line, at the 4-yard line. I don't think there was no Dylan Edwards, and maybe he's hurt. There was no Jerron Tibbs or Jace Brown either. Like the personnel decisions in certain moments, look,
Questionable this year.
like they're clocking snap counts and all these things, but like there is certain critical moments where just get your best players on the field, and that drives me nuts. Or like the offense will have the ball for 6 minutes, and I get clocking snap counts because you want to make sure guys are fresh and playing at an optimal level. But when the offense goes on a 6-minute drive, I don't need Austin to remain on the sideline for play 1. Like I don't think he needs any more rest. He was just on the sideline for a 6-minute offensive drive. Like that makes no sense to me. With that being said, if there's probably a fan shouting through the screen right now at me and saying Austin Romaine missed like 3 major tackles against Baylor. He did. That doesn't mean he's not your best linebacker though.
Yeah, no, that's the truth right there. Like even when guys make mistakes and they do poorly throughout a game, you still have to put the most talented guy out on the field there. Yeah. All right. Well, that's the nightmare. What's the dream scenario here for K-State? What's looking good?
And the nightmare too is like Hoover gets what he wants from a defensive standpoint.
Yeah.
Just kind of like Sawyer Robertson did basically on that 3-play drive. They got 80 yards that really whittled things down in the fourth quarter. Like Josh Hoover has that ability to. And if that's the case, then you're losing by multiple scores. I mean, the worst case scenario is you get blown out, and that's on the table. Yeah. I don't think that happens because I think this team has really showed a formula that it will lose a lot of games this year, but they'll probably be by 1 score. And I don't think this week's any different. The dream is that Dylan Edwards is not in and out of the lineup and driving his head coach batty, apparently, or making his head coach have no idea what's really going on or when he will have him and when he won't. That's the thing. Like, not only are you getting like twisted up in a pretzel of who you will have and who you will not have, it just seems like some of these guys, they're not even like making it like prevalently known to the coaches. That like it just seems like every day they wake up and it's a mystery whether that player's too hurt or not, and I think that's driving them insane as well. So, but again, I'm going down a rabbit hole there. Dream scenario: Dylan's good. Bradley plays a little bit more, can catch, so they can actually throw the ball his way. Jace continues to be good. Your offensive line holds up against a TCU front that I don't think is particularly threatening. And so you're able to run the ball, have some balance there.
Avery probably get some key turnovers again. Like, they've done
that for a few weeks. Get some key turnovers. TCU is pretty much one-dimensional. They don't really care about running the ball. They're not going to like do it enough to make you honor it. Even when they get up by a couple of scores, you're going to have a chance to get back in the game because they're going to do what Kansas State did. And they're going to throw the ball and probably make poor decisions at times and not be able to run the clock because they don't really want to run the ball and they can't like stick to it. And if they do, it's not really that effective. It's all these things. So their defense and their offense is good. They can throw it around the yard, but they also get out in front and they're just going to try to keep the pedal down and blow you out because they can't run the clock out on you.
Yeah. All right. Score prediction. What do you got here?
To me, it's similar to the Baylor game score-wise because I do think TCU and Baylor are pretty similar. Even if with Kansas State at home, I don't think they win. And the difference between the Baylor game and the TCU game is I don't think Kansas State's down by two or up by 2 scores and lose it late. I think it's basically a 1-score game the whole way, and they lose a tight one, 31-27.
All right. Well, I'm going to go the other way. It goes against what many would probably think, but I, for some reason, think that being at home does make the difference. I think they are playing better, and I don't. The nightmare scenario, you're right, is that the Baylor game wiped it from them. I don't think they're to that point yet. I think it's going to take, another one or a couple to really knock it out of them. But I don't think they're there yet. I think that they are good enough to get the job done. I'm going to take K-State 38-35 this weekend. So again, it doesn't make any sense to do it like that, but I think that they come through because they're playing better. TCU's not some juggernaut. You're going to be able to get it figured out.
I have no problem with your prediction. The only thing I would say, if I was going to have any kind of I don't know, criticism is the right word, but to pick it apart a little bit, is that this game's in the 30s. I think they lose. I think it's good. I think they need it lower than that to win.
I think you might be looking at a situation where this thing is moving along at a good pace at one point, and then it kind of slows down at others. I think
you're right.
I think it maybe does get away from both teams at one point in this, and then it has to come back together with it. I think K-State could jump out, and then they're hanging on for dear life at the end.
I don't think Chris Kleiman is the type of coach that can win a game with teams kind of scoring at that clip. I don't think that's his comfort wheelhouse.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I also just don't believe in both these defenses. But we'll see.
Well, I mean, it's part of the reason why I picked TCU, but we'll see.
Yeah. All right. Well, there we go. K-State TCU this weekend, 2:30 from Bill Snyder Family Stadium. We'll be there. We'll be live afterwards, me, Drew, and Fan, to recap things right here on the KSO YouTube. We'll have plenty of other stuff throughout the week here at KSO. Drew's got a recruiting update for everybody tomorrow. Then we'll do something else on Friday ahead of the game, and plenty of written content also getting you through in the lead up to it. All the fallout and analyzation of what's going on right now with K-State post losing to Baylor and getting ready for TCU. And then also, we're less than a month from basketball season starting. Maybe at some point the Big 12 is going to release start times for these games. We're hopeful. The Big Ten just did it. We know K-State Indiana's playing at 8 p.m. So
yeah, so we just found out the Indiana game, at least, also not on the Big Ten Network. Yeah.
Hey, well, that's a big win for everybody. Big lights of FS1. All right, we'll get out of here and talk to everybody tomorrow here at KSO, and then you can join us live after the game on Saturday.